Namaskar. Welcome to our channel Bio by Gulab Sir for Wisdom Coaching Center. As a part of series, we learn what is Kelvin cycle that occur in mesophyll cell, that is very close to the sunlight and in presence of high concentration of carbon dioxide. But it is not so that always that conditions are continue to be same. So when during midday time there is a very high light intensity, and as photosynthesis process began early in the morning, as sun rises, temperature increases, light intensity increases, rate of photosynthesis also increase, and concentration of oxygen also increase. Thus, in presence of high concentration of oxygen, that rubisco we learn in C3 cycle as enzyme which has dual role, which act as a carboxylase as well as oxygenase. So instead of it to be carboxylase and fix the atmospheric carbon dioxide, it turned to be RUBP oxygenase and cause loss of 50%, around approximately 50% of photosynthetically fixed carbon dioxide into phosphoglycolate instead of 3-phosphate glycerate or 3-phosphoglyceric acid. So let us understand what is photorespiration. Photo, that is light, respiration is breakdown of that photosynthetically fixed carbon dioxide into PGA and phosphoglycolate instead of only PGA. So the condition is in presence of high light intensity and high concentration of oxygen, RUBP carboxylase oxygenase act as RUBP oxygenase and cause loss of 50%, around 50% of photosynthetically fixed CO2, and this is known as photorespiration. How it is? It is what CO2 absorbed by RUBP, that is ribulose 1,5-biphosphate. Because of these two conditions, one is high light intensity and second is high concentration of O2. This RUBP carboxylase become RUBP oxygenase and ultimately produce half number of PGA and half number of phosphoglycolate. Phosphoglycolate is a 2-carbon compound and this is 3-carbon compound. Now this phosphoglycolate which produce as a result of photorespiration, that is what, because of RUBP oxygenase instead of acting as a RUBP carboxylase, that 50% of CO2 which fix, for example 6 molecule of PGA instead of 12 molecule of PGA to be produced, remaining that phosphoglycolate is produced. So in Kelvin cycle we learn when 6 molecule of RUBP combined with 6 molecule of CO2 produces 12 molecule of PGA. But because of photorespiration, here only 6 molecule of PGA are produced. So that means there is loss of here this is a loss, that there is no production of glucose and ATP. That means photorespiration is not useful to the plant. That means it is not in support of growth and development. Therefore, C3 plant, they have very slow growth or less production of glucose during midday time. But C4 plant, mostly monocot plant, they complete their life cycle in 3 to 4 months. Therefore, they have very fast growth. Because of that, they could or they can have photosynthesis even in high light intensity and high concentration of CO2. That's high concentration of O2. That's what we did understand. So to understand what is photorespiration, this equation is very useful. So you can remember this, how to define photorespiration. In presence of high light intensity and high concentration of O2, RUBP carboxylase act as a RUBP oxygenase and cause loss of approximately 50% of carbon dioxide into phosphoglycolate instead of phosphoglyceric acid. And further, this phosphoglycolate cannot and do not undergo any process to produce glucose and ATP. Thus, that is a loss. And only 6 molecules of PGA are involved in that what we call reduction to produce PGAL and to produce the glucose. That means that 6 PGA only undergo reduction and to produce the glucose instead of 12, that is 50% of PGA are lost. Therefore, it is known as photorespiration. And definition is, in presence of high light intensity and high concentration of CO2, RUBP carboxylase oxygenase act as a RUBP oxygenase and causes loss of 50% of photosynthetic CO2 into phosphoglycolate. This is known as photorespiration. Now, how this photorespiration is overcome by the plant? This happens in C3 cycle or plants which have C3 cycle. But C4 plants, they are adapted to overcome this photorespiration, which suppose we are going to learn in next part of the video. Now we shall continue this with C4 plant, how that they have overcome this photorespiration, as that C4 plant complete this Kelvin cycle having RUBP rubisco, RUBP carboxylase oxygenase to catalyze the process of fixation of CO2 to combine with RUBP occur in deep part of the leaf bundle sheath cell, that we are going to continue to have the next part of the video. So let us understand to overcome the photorespiration by C4 plant. Now C4 cycle is discovered by Hatch and Slack. Hatch and Slack, these are the name of the scientists. Why this C4 cycle is known as C4? Because first product of C4 cycle is 4 carbon compound. To know it, instead of carbon dioxide acceptor RUBP, here in this cycle, that carbon dioxide acceptor is phosphoenol pyruvate. Phosphoenol pyruvate and produce 4 carbon compound oxaloacetic acid. Now here, this is a 3 carbon compound, 6 molecule of phosphoenol pyruvate combined with 6 CO2, 6 into 3, 18 plus 6, 24. Here this 4 carbon compound, 6 molecule of oxaloacetic with 4 carbon compound, that 24 carbon. Here 3 into 6, 18 plus 6, 24, 6 into 4, 24. To understand, this is very important in NEET. So once again, how to define C4 cycle? Cyclic regeneration of phosphoenol pyruvate to combine with atmospheric carbon dioxide and regenerate or produce oxaloacetic acid is known as Kelvin C4 cycle. So this is continue to be occur. It occur in two types of cells, mesophyll cell and bundle sheath cell. Now here it is very clear, this is away from light intensity to how that carbon dioxide fix in Kelvin cycle. This oxaloacetic acid further convert into malic acid. This malic acid also 4 carbon compound. When this malic acid enter in, releasing carbon dioxide which become the part of Kelvin cycle, that is C3 cycle, in presence of Rubisco. So to understand here that I am going to write Rubisco, that what it acts as a carboxylase and fix this atmospheric carbon dioxide to regenerate glucose deep into the bundle sheath cell, that is away from high light intensity. Now when malic acid release of that CO2 for Kelvin cycle, ultimately it convert into pyruvic acid, pyruvic acid, also known as pyruvate. This is 3 carbon compound, 6 molecule of 3 carbon compound, that is 6 into 3, 18 carbon. Naturally here this is 6 molecule of 4 carbon compound, total 24 carbon. Out of 24 carbon, 6 CO2 are released as in Kelvin cycle, remaining 24, remaining 18 to be continued to form the 6 molecule of pyruvic acid. Now this pyruvic acid undergo phosphorylation before just getting into. As soon as this undergo phosphorylation, 12 molecule of ATP are utilized to form 6 molecule of phosphoenol pyruvate, and ultimately it produces 12 molecule of ADP. So although it is expensive to regenerate this phosphoenol pyruvate, because here already 18 ATPs are consumed in Kelvin cycle to fix and form the first 1 molecule of glucose. 18 plus 12, total 30 ATP are required to have or to overcome photorespiration by C4 plant. Although it is expensive by extra 12 ATP, but these plants are adapted to have fixation of 100% of carbon dioxide that they have absorbed with the help of PEP. Therefore, C4 plant has this adaptation or these advantages. This atmospheric carbon dioxide is absorbed by PEP in presence of PEP carboxylase. Now here, to have correct understanding to the differences between C3 and C4 cycle, that we already learned C3 cycle. Now let's see definition of C3 cycle: cyclic regeneration of RUBP to absorb the atmospheric carbon dioxide and PGA, produce PGA. Here cyclic regeneration of PAP to absorb the atmospheric carbon dioxide and produce oxaloacetic acid in presence of PP carboxylase. This is the definition of C4 cycle. In C3 cycle, carbon dioxide acceptor is RUBP, here it is PEP. In C3 cycle, let's see here, this is C3 cycle. What is carbon dioxide acceptor? RUBP. Here it is PEP. Here in C3 cycle, first product is phosphoglyceric acid. Here first product is oxaloacetic acid. First product being 3 carbon compound, here it is 4 carbon compound, therefore it is known as C4 cycle. This cycle occur in 2 types of cells, mesophyll cell and bundle sheath cell. This occur only in mesophyll cell. Here in this cycle, that Kelvin cycle occur in bundle sheath cell, here Kelvin cycle occur in mesophyll cell. Here regeneration of PEP has extra consumption of 12 ATP, that is total 30 ATP are required. Here that 12 ATP plus 6 ATP, so 18 ATP are required. And C3 cycle cannot overcome the photorespiration, but C4 cycle overcome the photorespiration, since this Kelvin cycle occur deep into the bundle sheath cell. Therefore, there is no effect of high light intensity and high concentration of O2 to turn their ribosco, ribulose biphosphate carboxylase into oxygenase, and it remains as a carboxylase. Thus, that Kelvin cycle occur in bundle cell and produce the glucose. So, question can be asked, distinguish between Kelvin cycle and HN cycle or C3 cycle and C4 cycle. 6 points to be remembered and written in examination to get the 3 marks. Moreover, in NEET, many questions can be generated that total number of ATP are consumed in C4 cycle are, total number of ATP consumed to produce 1 molecule of glucose in C4 cycle are 18 plus 12, 30 ATP. Moreover, what is Cranch anatomy? That study of physiology of occurrence of that Kelvin cycle or C4 cycle in 2 types of cell, mesophyll cell and bundle cell, to overcome the photorespiration is known as Cranch anatomy. And question also can be asked that chloroplast present inside the bundle cell, it is agranular because need not to have the grana, because need not to have the light phase. Light phase is already completed in mesophyll cell by phosphoenol pyruvate to fix the carbon dioxide. Therefore, chloroplast which present in the bundle cell, they are agranular because there is no need to have the light phase, cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, directly fixation of carbon dioxide which occur in stroma of that granular chloroplast in C3 cycle. So question can be asked, chloroplast present in bundle cells, the Kelvin cycle is occur in stroma, and the stroma, therefore there is no need to have the grana to fix the or to have the light phase and dark light phase to have the photophosphorylation. Okay, so Kelvin cycle occur in bundle cell, in C4 cycle is occur in a granular chloroplast. That is very important point to be note. Moreover, who is carbon dioxide acceptor? Phosphoenol pyruvate. The enzyme that catalyzes the process of fixation of carbon dioxide in C4 cycle is PEP carboxylase. Here we did understand what is C4 cycle. Once again, to conclude that C4 cycle is known as Hessian cycle because it is discovered by them. C4 cycle is so called because the first product of C4 cycle is 4 carbon compound. C4 cycle occur in 2 types of cell, that is mesophyll cell and bundle cell. It is for to overcome the photorespiration, to have less light intensity and less concentration of oxygen to complete this Kelvin cycle deep into the bundle cell. The first carbon dioxide acceptor is PEP and first product is oxaloacetic acid. Further, it ultimately converted into malic acid, leaving CO2 for Kelvin cycle and converted into pyruvic acid, which undergo phosphorylation with the use of extra 12 ATP and generate the PEP to absorb the atmospheric carbon dioxide. I hope you did understand what is C4 cycle. So be prepared with C3 and C4 cycle. For 5 mark, question can be asked, what is Kelvin cycle? Explain it with schematic flowchart. What is C4 cycle? Explain it with schematic flowchart, as well as distinguish between C3 and C4 cycle. These are the common questions. Question also can be asked, what is photorespiration? How it is overcome by C4 plant? Explain it. Or explain the advantage of C4 plant over photorespiration or over C3 cycle. These are the questions commonly asked in board examination. As a part of conceptual study that we did understand what is C3 and C4 cycle, so you are ready to answer questions in NEET also. I hope you understand well. Even if you have doubt, you can ask in comment section, and I appeal you to like our channel as well as subscribe it. Also, I appeal you to press bell icon so as to receive you new videos as and when uploaded. Thank you.